Hi, I'm Rob.
And I'm Rob.
And this is Ask Rob and Rob.
Hello everyone, welcome to Ask Rob and Rob, the show where you get your lovely questions in and we do our very best to give you some lovely answers back. This week is no different, but before we get into our first questions, let's give you a reminder how you can get involved and get your question into the show.
Oh yes, just call 013 808 0035 or go to propertyhub.net/ask. It is oh so easy, and for that small investment of your time, you can get your question answered just like Jack is about to.
Hi, my name's Jack, and I'm looking at purchasing my first property. It's a 2-bedroom, semi-detached house, and I'm buying it off someone that I've known for quite a few years. So they got it valued for 140 from a real estate agent, and they've given it to me for 120. It's mostly cosmetic stuff that needs renovating. So my question is, just to kind of scale it, what would be the best thing to do with that first house? Would it be better to sell it or rent it out, seeing as though I've put quite a small deposit of only 10%?
Jack, thank you for your question. It sounds like you got yourself a great deal there. Now, it's almost impossible for me to answer this question because I don't know a lot about you, what you want, and what you're trying to achieve. But I'm going to give you a way of thinking about this situation so you can make the best decision possible. And this will apply to a lot of people who are making decisions around their portfolio right now. But it ultimately will come down to, what are your goals? Like, really focus on what do you want in the medium and long term. Because when you start to focus on your financial goals over the medium and long term, it then helps you decide the best way forward. It helps you develop a strategy. There's no point in starting with a strategy if you don't know what you want. So start to think about what you want from property and turn that into like real numbers. So you may say, oh, I want to retire. That's great, but that doesn't mean a lot because retiring to one person will be completely different to another financially. So if that was one of your goals, then you would have to say, okay, I want to retire and need this lump sum, or I need this amount of recurring income. Great. Okay. Now you have a number. Okay. So then you start to build your strategy out. So that's a way of thinking about it. Now it's a bit of work, but it needs to be done. But if we just go for the simple, should you rent it out or should you keep it? And I'll just assume everything's equal in your life and it really doesn't matter which way you'll go. I'd be more inclined to rent it out. And the reason I say that is that after transaction costs, the amount that you'll actually make won't be the 20 grand the difference between the two. It'll be a bit less. And that might be enough to make a difference to you. And it still might be the right thing to do. And that's why going back to your goals is so important. But to me, I'd possibly be more inclined to rent it out. But don't go and do that just off that piece of advice. I was a bit reluctant to actually give you my opinion on which I'd do, because my situation will be different to yours. So that's why it's so important to go back and revisit those goals. So if it was me and in my situation, I'd rent that one out because it wouldn't be worth the hassle for the uplift gain. But for you, that little bit of capital that you'll be able to make from the sale may make a big difference to you to be able to redeploy somewhere else that will then propel you towards your goals. And that might be the right thing to do. So, Jack, it sounds like I've tried not to give you an answer there, but I really hope that sort of framework of kind of thinking about this will then help you take the right action and make the right decision for you.
Okay, let's move on to our next question. This one's from Lee.
Hi, Rob and Rob. It's Lee from Norfolk. So my question regarding a social media post that I saw from yourself, which was that if you could, possibly, you should hold off on fixing your mortgage because you believe it's on a downtrend. My question is, does that count for buying a new property as well? So I am currently selling up my house anywhere between 5 and 550 and purchasing the new house at around 700. So my question was, should I fix it or should I sit on the variable for a little while? Any feedback would be greatly appreciated. Thank you very much.
Lee, thank you for your question. And this is a tricky one. This is going to be another one where we don't want to give you an answer because it's very much dependent on your circumstances. But things have changed a lot over the last few months because there was a period of a few months when fixing was really unattractive. The margins were just horrendous and it didn't look like good value. The mortgage market has calmed down since then. There are more products on offer and now there's a decision to be made again. I'd still say it's likely that rates will come down further. The pace of the drops has slowed down though, so maybe it'll only be a little bit, or maybe it won't meaningfully come down for another 6 months or another year. But I do see the direction being down. That doesn't necessarily mean though that you shouldn't fix, because by fixing, you get certainty. And it sounds like you're talking about your own home, and there's a lot to be said for knowing what your payments are going to be. So I think it's really just a case of like, what's more painful to you? Is it more painful to stay variable and then for rates to go up and put you in a worse position? Or is it more painful to fix and then for rates to come down and for you to go, I could have done even better there? And that's going to be different for each person in this situation. And it's going to differ between, again, whether it's your home or an investment. With an investment, it might be a case of, well, if it goes this way, then the numbers get a bit better or a bit worse, but I'm willing to take a chance. With your own home, even though it might all be the same pot of cash, really, in your head, it still feels very different. So I would say there was a point when it was pretty black and white, but now there is no right answer. It's a case of what's right for you. And it's a decision that you should make with the help of a mortgage broker as well. Because what you really need to do is look at all the options out there and take all costs into account. We had a mortgage broker on the show recently. He pointed out that arrangement fees have been coming up a lot on different products. So the difference between a £2,000 fee and a 3% fee could actually be enormous and mean what seems like the best product becomes actually not that appealing after all. So I know that's not telling you what you should do, Lee, but this is another of those situations where it's impossible to do that. But those are some of the factors to be thinking about in the current market. So whatever you decide to do, good luck.
So that's us done for another week. Of course, we'll be back next week with another Ask Rob and Rob. And the main event, the Property Podcast, is back on Thursday. So make sure you join us then. Until then, take care, have fun. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.